Hey guys, and welcome back to the Blissful Athlete YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. I just got a question asked by one of my followers, Derek Wade. He was curious to know how I became a hockey player in the West and all of a sudden went and have this spiritual path, and now I'm living in India basically. And I really wasn't happy with where I was. Although I'd get to travel around and go play in various different cities, and I was somewhat popular in the places that I was playing. That was all nice, that was all fun and dandy, and I'd get to drink and have fun and party with the guys, and it was almost like a college lifestyle, and I absolutely loved it. But there's just something missing, and I really wasn't happy with who I was. I felt like I wasn't successful. I'd look around and all my friends and family, they had these houses and they were married, and they had kids on the way, and they were successful with their careers, and ultimately it was just like I wasn't there. I'd compare myself to them and I didn't see that that was me. Then another thing was I was actually really into Illuminati type stuff, and I was really intrigued by discovering the truth of certain conspiracies, and a lot of things that I was discovering was actually quite scary, and I was starting to live into fear. And so I got to this point in my life where I was just so overwhelmed with fear and anxiety and stress of self-doubt and self-hatred, really, with where I was in life. And it got to a point where I hit such a low that one day I was in a city in outside of British Columbia, or inside British Columbia. It was the off season, and I was in, it's called Whistler, British Columbia. It's where the Olympics was held in 2010, but it was a really big party spot. And so I went there one time, and I went with a group of acquaintances. They weren't even friends, just to party for the weekend. And I took MDMA for, I think it was like the second time, and at the end of the night I just hit a huge low, and I was really down on who I hated myself basically, and that was my rock bottom. I almost committed suicide that night, and all of a sudden, a few weeks later, I just had this huge awakening when I came across this book called The Celestine Prophecy, and it talked a lot about spirituality and like how you could feel energy, and how these plants have energy, and they have consciousness infused in them, the same consciousness that you have, and that everything has this consciousness. And the science started to relate with this as well. I was looking into quantum physics, and eventually I was starting to discover meditation, and all of a sudden one day I'm understanding that we're almost in this spiritual warfare where you're living in this world where we're so focused on getting money and so focused on getting wealth and fame and love from other people, but ultimately it is coming from within. And it took me a while to realize that, but after all of this research, I just started digging. All of a sudden one day I came across this YouTube channel. On the sidebar I was watching YouTube videos, and on the sidebar there's this Indian looking guy with a turban, and it was talking about super consciousness, and it was really, it was just intriguing. So I clicked on it, and all of a sudden this guru was there, and he does this meditation, and all of a sudden I felt like he was in my inner space, and it was completely incredible. And I saw that he was promoting this program called Inner Awakening, and so I took this idea and I was like, I need to go do this. I had this calling, and at the time I was thinking I wanted to go Peru and do ayahuasca or something like that. But then I saw this program. I'm like, okay, that's the one. I'm going to go do that. And what happened at Inner Awakening, words really can't express. Right when I first met Swamiji, at first I was kind of like just analyzing him and looking at him and trying to understand who he was. I had no idea what a guru was, like I said, and seeing this guy in this turban and just in this culture, I was just very standoffish, being a very logical person. And even a lot of the things that were happening within the program itself, I was very I stood back and I wasn't really diving in. And slowly I dipped my toes in the water a little bit more, and throughout the processes itself was absolutely incredible, because Swamiji introduced something called completion, which is an incompletion is a past event. So if something happened when I was younger, like my dad yelling at me, so a past event sitting in my present moment, so it's in my memory, and I can constantly recall it if I want to, and it's affecting my future. So this past event where my dad yelled at me is still affecting me today, because I see him as this person that hates me. Well, now that's affecting my relationship with him. And so I realized that what Swamiji taught me was that all of us have these incompletions within us, and unless we pull them out, unless we pull out the roots, then they're just going to keep growing, and they're just going to keep affecting our lives, and we're actually going to keep projecting that within our future. And so the process of completion that Swamiji gave us, where we pull out these roots, we pull out all these patterns that are holding us back. Like, I used to hate who I was. I used to hate how I looked. As you can see, I'm pretty pale. And in this world in the West, it's really popular to be tall, dark, and handsome as a man. And so I was so self-conscious of how I looked. I always have self-tanner on. I would always be focused on making sure I looked good. And if I would go into the bar, I really wanted to make sure that I was, attractive. And if I wasn't, I just was not happy with who I was. And so this was a major incompletion that I had. And I would hate to even go anywhere without covering up myself. And so until I went through that process, until I relived a lot of these things that happened in my past, I wasn't able to break through. I wasn't able to get to the next level. And Swamiji gave that to me. During Inner Awakening, he showed me that I am this divine being, and that I should be loving myself, and I should drop all this crap. I should drop all this concept of I'm failing and I shouldn't be, I'm failing at being, a successful career or anything like that, or having a house. And all of that dissolved. I stopped caring about all of that. And it wasn't that I stopped caring, it was just pulled out of me. And then I was now living from this space where I don't have these expectations, but I would be in a space where I'm just pursuing greatness without any attachment to results. And so Inner Awakening was absolutely incredible. It made me love myself. It made me feel empowered. It made me feel like I was a man for once. Even though what Swamiji's teaching us is that we're gods, I felt like, a man, because I used to, I was a kid growing up. I was a child. But today I feel empowered. I feel like I'm divine. I feel like I'm stepping into this whole new being. And that's what Swamiji is giving us at Inner Awakening. And that's why I'm so gung-ho about people going there and experiencing it, and stop listening to me about it and actually getting in there and feeling it for yourself, because it's absolutely incredible. The next thing I know, the program ends, and he gives me this divine experience of enlightenment. Like, I asked for this, I wanted to experience God, because I grew up an atheist, and so I wanted to really experience something real with spirituality. And he gave me this experience of enlightenment, and I've said it in one of my other videos, I literally was just standing there and frozen in this bliss. I couldn't move at all. And ever since that moment, I was so solidified in this concept that the divine exists, and it's within you, and it's pouring out of you. It's constantly trying to pour out of you, at least, but there's something within us that's blocking it. And this has everything to do with the mind, I'm understanding. And so I eventually realized that life is not meant to be what we think it is for. We're not meant to get a nice job. We're not meant to just have a family. We're not meant to have kids, and we're not meant to take them to baseball practice and then go home and have dinner and watch TV and then play online poker and all this crap. These were all things that I thought was my future. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying those things. I'll be the first to say that. But ultimately, life is meant for something so much more. And so each off season, I'd come back to play, and then I'd go back and come back to India and be in this space. And every time it was like I was getting something more and more and more. And eventually I just got this realization where it's like, life is meant to be here. I'm meant to be around those that are only enriching me towards my highest possibilities, self-realization, to becoming all-powerful. Because the divine in you is begging to exude and express itself. And basically for you to understand that you are it. You are everywhere. You are everything. And so it was so simple, actually, for me to be a hockey player and then decide to come here and drop ice hockey and just live here and be in this space, because ultimately I'm getting better and better every day. I'm improving some component of me. I'm releasing some negative pattern within me at every moment. And there's no other better place that I've ever seen or ever experienced in the world. I've been able to travel and go to Cancun and go to Europe, and I've been all over the world playing hockey, and I've been in front of thousands of people. But there's nothing better than being in this intimate environment, living around people that only want to lift you up, that only want to improve you, and only want to push you to be better, especially when it's led by my guru, Paramahamsa Nityananda. So That's basically the quick story of how I became this, or how I went from being this ice hockey player in the West to being this spiritual being in India. And so thank you for asking that question. I hope it connects with you, and please keep asking me questions and I'll always answer them. I'll try and do so via YouTube videos. But if you have any questions or other comments, please feel free to put those down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe. And look forward to talking with you guys a little bit more. So thank you for tuning in as always, and be blissful.